Alright, hope everybody's having a good one. Yeah, I really hope you're all having a good one. It's been a pretty rough day on my end, but we're gonna do some flying. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator with Cookie Pirates. Hopefully this will, if you've had a good day, great. I hope this will continue it, and if you haven't, I hope this makes you feel a bit better. Today, we're flying from King Salmon, Alaska in the Cirrus SR22. We're headed over to Kodiak. The weather sucks, so it's gonna be kind of interesting. Oh, that was almost like a little bit of a cynical chuckle. I don't mean it in the bad way. It's gonna be interesting. Bad weather like IFR procedures, instrument approaches, and stuff like that get to be a lot of fun. We're going at 19,000 feet, 153 miles. It's going to be about a 49-minute flight. Climb aboard, let's go flying. Okay, we're loaded in. Weather's not as terrible on the ground here at King Salmon. Let's see. 200 at 10 for the wind. Okay. Alright, well, we are loaded in. Let's go ahead and hit the battery switches first. We can turn that down. Good there, let's go ahead and initialize the, stuff there, whatever you call it. Um... 110, altitude, we said 19,000, I think. 19,000. VNav, nav, GPS, track. Alright, let's go ahead and turn the strobe lights on. Let's go. These are not neutral. Okay. Yeah, just from when I used them the other day. Alright. Mixture goes full rich. Boost bump on. Throttle full forward. Now we'll pull it back and then bump it just a little bit forward. Clear left. Clear right. Let's engage the starter. Mags set to both. Clear. Double check again. Clear! Engine started. Oil pressure is immediately up into the green. Temperature starting to rise. It's 15 Celsius on the ground here at King Salmon. Battery is showing a discharge. Amperage. Let's go ahead and turn the alternators on. Now we're showing good numbers. We can turn the avionics on. And let's go ahead and lean the mixture out. 1237 is our current RPM. We're looking for peak. It's about 1380 something. Right about there. Let's pull it back down to idle. Let's actually zoom in because we have to taxi. Okay. Alright, let's grab the weather here at King Salmon real quick. Probably be pulling some updated weather any moment. 2254, yeah, so that is the most current weather. 200 at 10, visibility is 10, a few clouds at 2200, broken at 45, overcast at 55, so that's actually getting better. 15 Celsius here on the ground, 2963 on the altimeter, that is set here. So we are good to go with the weather. Okay. Mixture's leaned out. Power's idle. Let's go ahead and turn the nav lights on. Look ahead. And we probably want runway 20. So we have a couple options. We could go this way and take runway 12 and just take off with a bit of a crosswind. But I think what we'll actually do is taxi out. We'll taxi the long way. So let's go ahead and make the turn here. Pull back on the power a little bit. And this here is runway 36. Oh, so it's 1836 and 1230. Okay. For some reason I was thinking it was 220 the other way. So we're clear over here. And then what we'll do we're rolling a little bit. Let's hit the brakes. And then we're going to make the left turn onto the main runway. And then we're going to taxi back up and around toward the small runway. Clear that way. We're gonna make the left turn right here. I mean, this is idle power. We're going almost 40 knots along the ground. It's just a really powerful engine. It's the ILS hold marking. We're gonna go up here, make the right turn. This left turn, I believe, is where military aircraft actually park at the real King Salmon Airport, but I'm not 100% sure of that. I'm not all that familiar with King Salmon, although, remember how I said back in the day I used to fly into Kodiak a lot back in Flight Sim 10, and I occasionally would fly out of here, right here out of King Salmon. Fly out of King Salmon, I've flown out of Bethel, I've flown out of Anchorage. Kenai usually was doing that in jets though. And I've found that the general aviation prop planes tend to be generally my favorite. Pun not intended there. Just overall they're my favorite type of aircraft to fly. The jets are fun sometimes, but they're not so to speak, my bread and butter. That's this kind of stuff right here. Coming up on runway 18, this is the one that we want for departure. So we are going to stop right here at the hold position bar. Going to set the park and brake. I actually need to get up real quick to check something. I had laundry and dishes going. So take just a moment to tend to those, but we'll do a run up and then we will get ready to take off and head over to Kodiak, where the weather has been particularly bad, so it should make a really interesting approach. And you know, when you get the bad weather and stuff like that, it makes it really interesting when you're doing takeoffs and landings. And then you get the absolutely beautiful view of breaking through the clouds when you get up above them and just see sheets of white. And then you see the sun shining and stuff like that. Okay, we're back here at the computer. And let's do the following things. First thing we're going to do is check mixture full rich. Boost pump is on. We'll go ahead and switch the fuel selector. Flaps to half. Check both sides. Down on the left. Down on the right. Just check our autopilot again. So we're going to set the runway heading. Should be about that. Don't need heading mode on, just in case if we have to make a turn to get on course. FLC is on and set to 110. Altitude is set to 19,000. The cruise, all of that is set. Alright, let's go ahead and do a run-up. So we're going to go power up to, looking for 1,700 RPM. Back down just a little bit off of that there. Alright, that's good. First thing, landing lights, ice light, pitot heat on. We're good on the electrical. Go ahead and turn those off. We'll leave the landing lights on since we're going to need them for takeoff. Let's do a mag check. Let's see, mixture is full rich. 1712, let's turn it to the right mag. Good, back to both. Now left. Good. Back to both. Engine instruments are in the green, everything looks good. No warnings. We are good to pull back to idle power. Last thing we'll do is set our takeoff trim. It's good there. Check the autopilot. And last, let's get out, take a look at the flight controls. The rudder is good, elevator is good, and ailerons are good. Back into the cockpit, release the park and brake, and we are ready to roll out onto the runway and take off. Our takeoff procedure is going to be standard. We'll rotate at 77 knots, we'll lift off in the low 80s, and we'll fly up 800 feet above the ground. We'll turn and engage we can actually turn at 400 above the ground. We'll engage the autopilot at 800 above the ground. Alright, our airspeed is already alive thanks to the wind and the speed we're moving at on the ground. Let's go full power, start a run. Engine instruments all look good. 77, we can rotate, and we're up immediately. Nice. Alright. Flaps up. Take a look at that right there. Just catch a glimpse right out over the runway. 400 feet, we can go ahead and make a turn to the left. $800 feet above the ground. Continue our turn. We can engage the autopilot. Speed's coming down just a little bit. It's going to lower the nose to pick that speed back up. And we should begin turning on course momentarily. It's not going to... Alright, let's disengage the autopilot. And let's just turn it ourselves. I'm pretty sure we had nav selected, but maybe not. Or maybe I deselected it by mistake. Let's check that. Nav was off. Okay. So we'll just kind of continue pitching up like this here. And we can turn... Just a nice slow turn to intercept our GPS course. We're up almost 3,000 feet, starting to get into the clouds. Right here, we can go ahead and engage the autopilot. We'll pick up that track pretty quick. Let's go ahead and zoom out on the map. Zoom out a little more. Okay. Climb power set. Let's go ahead and do the checklist. We're going to do the full power Richard Peak climbs. We're going to go keep it on full throttle. We'll lean the mixture just a little bit, get down to about 35 per gallon. Right about there. Our boost stays up, mixture stays where it's at. We can go ahead and turn the landing lights off. We'll just keep an eye on temperatures. Pitot heat's going to need to come on. It's 4 Celsius. The temperature's dropping fast. And I don't know what temperature we're going to be out of these clouds, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the de-ice on. We'll leave it on low, and we'll also go ahead and turn the cabin air and the windshield on low for now. If we pick up ice, we will turn it up, but for now we should be okay. We should be above these clouds soon enough. En route today, here's King Salmon. We're going over the start of the Alaska Peninsula, which really begins basically right along here. Fly over that, over a little bit of a mountain range, where we're going to have some clearer skies down kind of, it looks like, around here. This is Baranof Lake, and that is, I believe, the second, maybe the third largest lake in the state. And of course, Iliamna Lake up here is the largest, and it's going to be off our left wing, although we may not be able to see it too well. Then we're going to fly over the water right here, and then we're going to fly over Kodiak Island, and I can tell you, because of the weather there, we're going to have to fly out over this way and come back in over the water. Alright, we have broken through the clouds. It is only now below freezing. So actually, we can go ahead and turn the de-icing off. We don't need it. We'll leave the cabin heat on low for now. And we get a cool view looking that way. Oh, and it's cleared up a little bit down on the ground. Let me go ahead and pull the chart up, and I can tell you exactly what lake this is. Oh, it's Naknek Lake. Okay. So Naknek is, well, it's the name of the lake that we're flying over, but there's also Naknek, the town, which lies to the west of King Salmon. And it's actually not far from King Salmon. It's just kind of right over here. In fact, here's the South Naknek Airport, and here is the regular Naknek Airport. And then you get kind of the bay that goes out. What's it called? Kodiak Bay, which actually comes out into the Bering Sea. Dillingham, Bethel. Really haven't done a lot of flying in Southwest Alaska. It's kind of flat. There's a lot of cool rivers. Of course, you have the Kuskokwim River, and this is the Yukon River before it goes out into the ocean. But also the weather there has been pretty bad lately. But I would like to do some Southwest and Western Alaska flying, like up to Unalakleet, Nome, maybe up to Kotzebue, way up in the northwest. But anyway, this is Naknek Lake that we're flying over. And we might, depending on visibility, we might get a view of Iliamna Lake and also, Becharov. I pronounced that wrong. I think I said Barachov. It's Becharov. We've been flying over a couple of those mountains that we see occasionally. And then we fly over the Shelikof Strait, which runs between the peninsula and Kodiak Island. And, oh, the weather has taken a turn for the worse at Kodiak, and I am not confident that we're going to make it in. I'll explain that here in a couple minutes. So we've got all of these set. We're actually looking pretty good. Let's grab a look outside. Yeah, so you can see Naknek Lake below us, but it is pretty much completely cloudy out that way. Completely cloudy out ahead of us. And just a tiny bit less completely cloudy out this way. And that way. Well, there's a little bit of a blue sky out there, I think. I don't know. Definitely not a great day to be flying over most of the state, unless you like bad weather. It does make things interesting, though. Okay, so here is the problem over at Kodiak. We have to fly an instrument approach. And what that is going to be is most likely going to be the ILS for 2.6, which is the approach that we usually fly. It's the one that takes you out over the water, and then you're looking at that big mountain kind of at the top. The problem is the minimums are 636 feet above the ground. And right now, Kodiak is reporting only a mile of visibility and a ceiling of 400 feet. So if we descend to 600 feet and can't see the airport, we cannot continue, even if we know we're on course, legally. Now, technically, could you continue? I mean, yeah, but it's illegal, it's not safe. So we're hoping that the weather would improve a bit. The LP approach, the RNAV, actually would let us get down to about 560. So we'd have a better chance doing that. But the course is offset, which means we'd have to make a turn. And the VOR approach is about the same. Okay, this is going to be interesting. So, we can chance it. Hopefully the weather might get just enough of a break to where we could see the airport. Otherwise, we might be going to somewhere else, which might be Achiok, because they're reporting halfway decent weather. That's on the other side of Kodiak Island. Or we would have to go up to Seldovia, or Homer, or back to King Salmon. So we would have to decide that based on the weather where we look. Alright, just passing through 18,000, we can set standard pressure. And here's 19,000, and we can go ahead and pull back 30.5 on the manifold pressure. And it's pretty jumpy.
You've overused them away.
I feel like I might have something wrong with my throttle. I'm not sure though. It could be a bug with the simulator though. One of the updates they've had recently. Alright. Let's lean the mixture out to... it's right about 20 gallons. Our peak power. Yep, it hits 90 and then it drops off. So right at 20 gallons, we should be good. Good enough right there. Alright, otherwise in cruise, the cruise power set, we can turn that off. We can switch the tank to the left. Hey, I don't forget this time and get the message. Minus 15 Celsius up here at 19,000 feet. And we have a crosswind. And we are getting an extra 2 knots on the ground speed. So we have a 2 knot tailwind. But also the crosswind is not strong, so it's not saying much. See a little bit of a break in the clouds and we can see a couple mountains. We are looking at right now, there is, I believe this is Mount Katmai, Mount Magic, and Martin Mountain out that way, Serpent Tongue Glacier, Hook Glacier, and Mount Denison is not too far. And I believe that is maybe this one right here. Mount Katmai is right here. That's the one that we're flying right over. And then this here is, I believe, Mount Magic and Martin Mountain. Kind of right nearby. We can't see Mount Douglas, which is up to the northeast. I think that's going to be a little bit far for us. It's also given the weather. I don't know if the clouds are above it, but it would kind of be up. Kind of would be up around here. And you might be able to see, but probably not, the Iliamna volcano. I think we're going to be too far from that. Yeah, it's just cloudy. This is probably the best view we're going to get today. Right down here. Just as these mountains kind of start. Katmai National Park. And here's the cool thing. This that we're going to be flying right over, called Knife Peak. So if you look at it, it's like a knife blade. It's sharp off the sides, but over the top it's very smooth. That's pretty cool. And then this here I think is called the Knife Glacier. Right on here. Yeah. That's pretty cool. What a view right there. That's the best view we're going to get today probably. At least to get something. Okay, back into the cockpit. I would say we're gonna end up with a pretty interesting approach. Probably a very interesting approach. This might be really tough, actually. But at least we do get a little bit of scenery. We get a little bit of blue sky where you can see down to the mountain peaks. And even into that valley right there where that glacier's at. Basically right over. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, it looks a little bit better out this way, and it was when I looked at the weather. This is kind of the little bit of an area where we're gonna have some nicer weather, and I'm not sure if we can see it, but maybe. I think this might be Betcherov Lake. Not sure. Like it might be a little bit bumpy. Little bit, not too bad. Oh yeah, no, now we're getting almost a direct crosswind, and it's intensifying a little bit. This is saying only 25 minutes to Kodiak. Let's see if we can pick the weather up. I would say from here we should be able to. No. Okay. Well, we can look somewhere else and pick it up in a minute.
Something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club.
What I'm doing right now is looking to see what kind of approach I want to get set up for. And yeah, it's probably going to be the ILS just because it gets us straight. Excuse me. And then the other thing I have to choose is where I want to start the approach from. So we can start the approach over actually, I don't know about that. I'm gonna say we might have been able to start the approach over the fix and reverse, but no. ILS unusable from 2 DME inbound. Oh, that's why the approach has to stop at 600 feet or whatever. That explains it. It's gonna say an ILS usually gets you closer to the ground. Yeah.
Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come.
Let's see what our options are. Sinek, Junbu, Kodiak VOR, and Josra. Oh, you can do a procedure turn. Minimums are going to be Barrow. And 640 feet. Now it didn't ask us for a course reversal, so no, we can't do that. If we went up here and chose Kodiak, we're gonna have to look and see. Whoa, huh? Would have us go up here to Sinek. No, we'd have to go direct to Jim or Sinek or way back and fly that arc. Fly the curve back that way. We have to do that just because of the approach. So that's actually going to add to our flight time, given the weather. So our option, we could fly direct to way back right now. We actually could set that up. So maybe here's what we do. We go back in, select approach, and we're going to do the ILSY, and we're going to set it way back, Barrow 640, load. Tells us top of descent's out over that way. But if we actually selected direct to way back right now, it actually doesn't move it that much. But now it's telling us it's another, instead of 21 minutes or so, now it's saying about 27 minutes. It's kind of to be expected. And now we have a slight headwind as the winds have shifted. But just look at the clouds right here. You can see these little mountain peaks are right down here, just barely sticking through the clouds. And you can see a little bit right over there. And then there's another one right there. That might be Mount Douglas. Oh, look at that! This one's popping up right through the clouds. Holy cow, I bet you it'd be really cool to be at the top of that, just to see that kind of stuff. Clouds all over the place though, so this is gonna make for a kind of an interesting approach, and hopefully we're gonna be able to make it in. I'm hoping. Let's see if we can get the weather now. No. Alright. We're gonna get it from map. So we're going to click on the Kodiak Airport. Here we go. 23:07, so that was as of 40 minutes ago. 040 at 9, so we're going to be landing with a tailwind and a crosswind. That's going to be tough. 1 mile visibility. And we technically need 3. Take a look at the RNAV approach. What does it require? 1 7/8. So we don't have it. Okay. We cannot start the approach. We cannot start a final approach until the visibility gets better. So this needs to say 3, or we can change the approach type and hope it goes up to 2. Yeah. That's gonna be kind of tricky. Overcast at 400, so that's showing over the airport. That's right at minimums. Actually slightly below it, so 11 Celsius, 2970. There is a way around that. We're in the simulator. Oh. But really there is a way around that, in the sense, if we somehow pick up the airport and can maintain a visual side of it on our way down, just if by any chance the clouds break up or there's a patch where we can kind of see through, then we can go that way. Otherwise, it's going to be really tricky. Or we cheat in the simulator. Or we go to Kodiak, which should be like another 20 minutes in the air. So it's not telling us any information about, what's it? VNAV. It's not telling us how long we have to top a descent. Pretty soon, probably. So we got 16 minutes to that point, so probably in the next 5 minutes we'll start our descent. Before we reach descent point, I need to step up and do a couple things quick. Just give me a couple minutes. Okay. There's just about there to the top of descent point. Minus 17, so the temperature's actually dropped a couple degrees. Out over here toward Kodiak. Let's try to pull the weather one more time. Hopefully we get an update. 2970 is the altimeter, so we will get ready to... First thing let's do is descend. Let's just get the plane started down. And we can go ahead and set that 2970. Shouldn't climb. Oh, you know what? Probably it's trying to get to that 19,000. It was before we turned the altimeter. Probably should have waited until we were in the descent for that, but that will be... That shouldn't be an issue because the plane, the VNAV will compensate for that anyway. And what we will do is we will set power to maintain a constant speed in the descent. Yeah, see, we're starting downwards. We'll just pull back to 40% power. And let's just see, our speed should hold at about 40%. Right about like that. And that's, yeah. Now it's trickling up just a tiny bit. Let's pull back to about 38. 17 inches of manifold pressure should be good there. Bad news, it's getting worse. I don't know if we're gonna make it in. I really don't. That is actually quite bad.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's pretty bad.
around the globe, trying to protect.
Now,
So we are here.
in the real world, we would, at this point, probably choose to go to another airport. Whether it would be down to Akiok, where they're reporting better weather than at Kodiak, and well enough that we can make it in, or up to probably Homer or Seldovia at the southern end of the Kenai Peninsula. Akiok is the closest of those three. The other option is turn around and go back to King Salmon. Because we're in the simulator, we could hypothetically do this approach and go below minimums and actually land. So, I show speed videos. Hey, love your content. I appreciate that. Hey, I try to make this entertaining here. I'm a real-world private pilot. I don't get to fly much anymore. So flight sim is the next best thing, and it kind of lets you explore, you know, parts of the world that you can't go to so easily. And it lets you get to try out different aircraft that you perhaps can't try out in the real world. So I really appreciate your comments. That means a lot, you know. I do this just for fun, and it's nice when you get feedback like that. So, appreciate you watching and tuning in. So, we could actually fly the approach. Now, in the real world, this would be highly illegal, and I said that we absolutely would not do that. But since we're in the simulator, nobody really can do anything about that. You know, the Microsoft Flight Simulator FAA isn't going to come knocking on your door telling you that you've got a pilot deviation. And the other thing is, no air traffic controller would ever allow you to start the approach. So I would say, given the situation that we're in the real world, I would probably choose to go to Kodiak because the weather is quite decent there, especially in comparison to where it is now at Kodiak. 230 to 10 miles visibility, 4,000 overcast, and 57 degrees Fahrenheit or 14 Celsius. So we would have little trouble descending over there and probably just go right into the airport visually. If we were determined to go into Kodiak, options would be as follows. Fly the approach, the initial part of the approach, which would proceed to this fix here, or this one, or one of these, or to the Kodiak VOR, and then up this way, and you fly this. It's called a DME arc. You basically go in a very gentle circle. You stay 10 miles away from the Kodiak VOR, which is this right here, ODK, and you just basically fly, and then you turn and intercept the ILS course. But you cannot proceed past this approach fix until the visibility improves, and perhaps you get reports of a better cloud ceiling. Otherwise, you would be in what they call a holding pattern, which is basically like flying a circle, not really a circle, but you go straight, then you do a turn, straight. It's like a racetrack. And you would have to hold until the weather improves or until you start running while you do your fuel planning and everything, and you would basically say, I don't have enough fuel to continue to hold, I need to use the remaining fuel that I have to go to an alternate airport, such as Kodiak or up to Homer or Seldovia. When you file a flight plan, you will actually choose which airport you're going to choose as an alternate, in case you can't land at your intended destination. Now that said, you could still choose to go to a different airport in certain circumstances. And it gets to be pretty complex, and I'm not all that well versed in those instrument plan rules and everything like that. So for what it's worth, I say we're gonna actually just go ahead and try this in the sim for the heck of it. See what happens. It'll be kind of interesting. And what I'll do is, as we're descending, I'll call out different things that we would, that we'll be going over, and its significance. We kind of need to continue our descent a little bit more here. Zoom in a little bit on the map. And look at the wind has shifted. Now we have a 16 knot, basically yeah, 16, it's a 15 knot headwind component, so how that shifted from when we had a kind of crosswind, tailwind, and now it's basically a direct headwind. But as we're descending through that, it's going to shift again. So that doesn't mean too much. Let's do a couple checklist items. It's -5. I don't know what these cloud tops are at. But there's a chance we descend below, or into the clouds while the temperature's below freezing. And that would mean we would need to turn de-icing on. That's crazy, that weather report is worse. Well, it's showing it improves 600, which should be about 6 hours from now. So yeah, probably the next 6 hours are going to be... In the real world, nobody's going to be going into Kodiak, and probably very few people are going to be getting out of it. It's definitely easier to take off from an airport when the weather's bad. But that comes with some restrictions and some different conditional things. Let's see, do we have the updated weather? Yep, overcast 300 now, 2970, so that's not changed. Winds let up, all that's still the same though. Yeah. Now let's continue downward. We're over the water. So realistically, we can go all the way down. I look at the chart. Now in that arc, we're allowed to go all the way down to 1,600. So let's actually just go ahead and set that there. -2 and, well, there's a big rumble of thunder outside my house right now. We've activated the approach. And it is -1. We're still above the clouds, so yeah, I think we're going to be okay without turning the de-ice on. Let's do a couple other checklist items, though. So we don't want to be dealing with that when we're trying to fly an approach down to minimums. And we're actually, like I said, we're going to be below minimums in the sim. Landing lights on. Pitot heat will stay on. Don't need flaps, we can turn the boost on. Do we need to switch the fuel tanks? Yeah, we probably should. Let's go ahead and do it just in case. Everything is set that we need. Alright, so if we look at the map here, once we pass over this way back fix, it actually starts here at Kodiak, and you can kind of see the curve, but we're going direct to way back. And once we get there, we're going to start that gentle right-hand turn. That's called that DME arc. And we'll just fly along that into the approach. We'll do the DME arc turn and proceed to what they call the final approach fix, which is Josra, which you can see on the map right here. Now we're about to start kind of popping here through below these clouds. It's 1 degree Celsius as we start descending through the clouds at 34 Fahrenheit. Now you can see just this very gradual curve along the the DME arc. And it should start to turn back around here. Yep, there it is. See, it's a very gentle turn. And we can actually pull back on the power a little bit more. And just start getting our speed slowed down here. And we're going to be in the clouds for a couple seconds. Okay, I thought we were about to continue descending down through. The funny thing, when you go through a cloud, you don't know what's on the other side. Well, we can see a little bit of ocean. That is actually a little bit of a promising sign, although not much. Gives me the feeling that there might be some breaks in the clouds. And even if it's really cloudy right over the airport, if we have broken skies where our approach starts over this area kind of right here, if we can get down through that and see the airport, we can continue the approach, which would be awesome. So keep an eye on our cylinder head temps. We don't want them to go below 240. Our fuel flow is still in the green, so our mixture's okay where it's at. We'll have to get we'll have to go full rich momentarily when we start the approach. And meanwhile, we just fly around the DME arc, and it takes a little bit of time. And so when we chose that procedure, we added probably 6 minutes to our total flight time, which, by the time you factor in getting the airplane slowed down and everything, that's probably ends up being more like 8 to 9 minutes, but that happens. I hear thunder again. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the power back, because we want to get the plane slowed down. We still have about 1,000 feet to descend, and we will have plenty of time right there. Now we're going to put the power back in where it was about. Let's zoom in a little more on the map. Okay. And you can just barely see the coast through this. So this is actually... And it popped up a little more clear view there for a moment. So this is actually giving me hope that we may make it in here. So as I mentioned, ATC legally cannot start you on the approach when the weather is reporting below the visibility minimums for the approach. I'm gonna pull the sky vector chart up real quick, and I'm actually just gonna put it on this half of the screen. And now I will share my screen. That way we can keep an eye on the flight instruments and stuff. Now we're getting a little bit of a steeper. As we've passed here, we're turning to intercept the fix more closely. So put a little bit of power in because we've leveled off at 1600, but we still want to get the plane slowed down. So because this right here says 3, this says 2.5, so you could do the localizer only approach at 2.5 miles visibility. But because the airport is only reporting 1 mile, they will not let you start the approach. You would basically, you could make it here to Josra and then start this circle right there. So we'd be flying circles and basically set to enter a holding pattern until the visibility comes up, which is not likely to happen. So anyway, back to the flight. And we're just gonna fly nice and slow. But actually, with the power we have set, we're still doing about 138 indicated, which is quite good. We'll pull the power out in a minute or so to get it slowed down. Because by the time we start descending over this fix, we want to be... slower. Lay down closer to 110. Probably even slower than that. So we're coming up on the fix. Let's go ahead and do a couple final items. So we got the landing light. Don't need the ice light. We probably could turn the pitot heat off, but we're going to leave it on because we're flying through moisture. And even at temperatures above freezing, just the speed of the aircraft, you could have the pitot tube collect ice. And that's what detects your airspeed. And so if that gets blocked up with ice, your airspeed reads 0, and that can obviously be quite dangerous. Alright, we are going to set approach, and we are going to lower this to 600 feet. Approach mode is on. Let's just make sure we pick up the localizer. Or, not the localizer, the glide path. Gonna zoom in a little more. Yes. I think it is starting to pick up. So we're gonna pull back the power. Make it nice and slowed down. And start down. Are you kidding me? Alright, so we're gonna have to fly this by hand. At this point, we would continue in the hold, just because we don't have the visibility to make it into the airport. We're gonna go half flaps. Couple things, final items. Mixture stays full rich, or goes full rich. Flaps are half, boost pump is on, don't need to switch fuel tanks, we are good right here. So we're going to point the nose down a bit. And now we're picking up the... and we're basically going to fly this to hand all the way to the ground. Which in this kind of time is tough. A little bit low. So what I'm trying to do is keep this green diamond centered on this line. And we're a little bit low, so I'm going to raise the nose. We're a little bit left of course, so I'm going to turn. We want to keep this line centered and that dot even. So we're actually getting a bit low on the approach here still. So we're going to level off, let the diamond pick back up. We're continuing to get low. And this is about as low as we ordinarily would be able to get. I'm going to put the power in and go full flaps. And now we're through the localizer. We can see the island right there. But we're still low. Yeah, we're off course a fair bit here. See the water.
500.
Yeah, by now we would have gone missed if we actually were allowed to start the approach, because I have no clue where the airport is right now. I mean, I know where it's at, but we're not anywhere close to it. Now we're centered there, but we're still low. Trying to level up, pick up the diamond. There it's at. Now we're on course. Now we're high. But you see, we still can't even see the airport. Now I see it. There's the runway right there. So we're just gonna keep kind of pointed right toward that. Nice and gentle. We're a little bit high. Pull back on the power here, try to get slowed down. We're definitely a little bit fast. Yeah. Easy back. Take the power pretty much out. We're on the ground. And the nose wheel, that came down hard. I mean, we were about as slow as we could. Flaps up. And we're just gonna roll for a bit. And, that's the turn right there. Seems tough to tell where that's, because that's at an odd angle. So we will circle right back around here. Put the power back in. Tight turn. There is... Yes. Lights are the wrong color. They should be green, because that's a center line. Blue is for the edge. Green is for the center line. But, oh well. That ended up being actually a really good landing, given the circumstances. So, a couple things about that approach. You could see a couple times that we went a bit off course, and we were a bit below the glide slope most of the time. I believe the standard is if you end up having a full needle deflection. So, like if it went to the second of these circles, or up to here, that you're supposed to go missed on the approach and basically break off and come back and restart it. Of course, we didn't get that far off, but it was kind of rocky. We were off course a number of times. Truck in my way, whatever. There's those two cubs right there. It's pretty neat. The X Cub and the NX Cub. Really slick looking planes. They're fun to fly too. We've flown those once or twice in the sim. We're gonna basically... There's a quality in. Oh. Now we'll basically turn and get parked. Bump that power up a bit. Come on. This just doesn't have the nose steering like it should. Alright, there we go. Right. The parking brake is set. Whoops. Alright, so, couple reminders about this approach we did. Number one, we would have never started the approach in the real world because we knew the weather was bad. We would have chosen to go to a different airport. Number two, even if we had chosen the approach, we would have not been cleared for it until the visibility improved. Number three, if we had been cleared for the approach and descended, we would have not seen the airport at 640 feet, so we would have had to go missed and probably go somewhere else. So keep that in mind when you watch the video. And just remember that this was not an approach that we would ever do in the real world in these conditions. It was not legal, and, well, I should say, it would not have been legal and it would not have been safe. In the sim, kind of anything goes, but I try to, you know, encourage safe practices and important, you know, good information for pilots to make good decisions. So, big disclaimer. But it certainly was fun actually trying to make the airport out, and it's good practice hand flying the instrument approach. And I've mentioned I am a private pilot. I am not instrument rated, and I have very little instrument training. So the sim is kind of a good way to practice that. And when that translates to a real plane, you kind of have an idea of what might be going on. So anyway, let's go ahead and run through the final checklists. Pitot heat can go off, landing light off, strobe light, nope, stays on, nav lights can come off. Boost pump off, power is idle. Transponder goes to standby. And I think we're good to go ahead and shut the engine down. So that is all set. Let's go ahead and idle cut off. Engine is confirmed stop. Let's go ahead and turn the mag switch to off. Strobe lights off. Avionics off. And it was an hour and 1 minute. You can see that kind of added to a bit of time. Continue. Alternator switches off. Battery switches off. And that's it. We're on the ground safe and sound at Kodiak. Now folks, don't do what I just did in the real world. Don't do it. Always practice safe flying habits. Anyway though, welcome to Kodiak. Hope you enjoyed the flight, and hope to have you aboard on the next one. And as always, until then, take care, stay safe, and we'll see ya.